welcome back to my channel. My name is Valerie Keim. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm just gonna be doing a really quick, very impromptu, thrown together little pregnancy update and maybe answer a few of your questions that I got in on Instagram. So this is going to be the point of this video is not really to be like a long video. It's probably not going to be a very long video, but basically I just wanted to come on and share with you guys why I didn't post anything last week. And I know I don't really owe anybody an explanation as to why I don't post. I'm just, like I've always said, or like I have been saying, I've just been doing what works for me. But I did want to give a reason as to why I didn't post last week because, you know, just cause. So I have my coffee here. Let's just dive into our video. So starting with the pregnancy update. As of right now, I am 24 weeks pregnant, which is just crazy to me to think about because I only have 2 more weeks in the second trimester and then I'm going to be in my 3rd trimester, which is absolutely mind-blowing to me. I just feel like this pregnancy has gone so much faster just because I have a toddler to keep up with now. I can definitely say I've been enjoying this pregnancy more. It's just been a lot more fun. My next appointment, I have my glucose test. I think I'll be 27 weeks, something like that. I can't quite remember when they're doing that test, but I think it's around when I'm like 27 weeks. They're gonna do my glucose test and I'm not really looking forward to it because if you've been following my channel for a while, you would know that my last pregnancy, I had pre-gestational diabetes, which obviously I didn't have to watch as much as if I would have had gestational diabetes, but I still definitely had to watch. I think I'm just one of those people that gains weight so easily during pregnancy. I look at some women and they're just like, they're eating, you know, pizza, whatever, ice cream they want, you know, just they can eat how they want and they just don't look like they've gained much except for the baby. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like, it must just be different for everybody because I've always gotten pretty swollen too when I'm pregnant. And I will say this pregnancy I haven't been near as swollen as what I was with Mateo. Just I think it's because well, obviously one, I have been trying to eat a little better than I did with my first pregnancy, but I think a huge thing that has to do with it is it's not summer. I was pregnant the entire summer with him and I was so swollen. The heat just does something to me. I'm telling you, when I'm pregnant, it's not pretty. But I have started to notice my hands have started feeling a little bit tighter. My shoes are a little bit tighter. So I definitely think I have gotten swollen. But it's just, I've come to the conclusion that I think that's just how it is for me. I'm sure everyone has their own little things that like, when I'm pregnant, this happens to me and this and that. And I think a lot of women do get swollen and stuff like that. But that is definitely a very huge symptom in my pregnancy. But anyway, so I am just praying that those results come back and we get good news from that. But what I wanted to update you guys mostly on was why I didn't post last week, what was happening with my pregnancy, and like just what was going on in general. So we had our anatomy scan, and at my particular doctor's office they wait till about 22 weeks to do the anatomy scan. So 22 weeks along, we go in. They didn't tell us the gender. It was very hard. Literally, we were driving to the appointment talking. We were like, maybe we could just find out. Like, and we just wouldn't tell anybody that we found out. We could just find out. And it would be like just a secret between us two. But in the end, we told him we don't want to find out. So he did a very good job at, you know, being discreet. So anyway, so we had our anatomy scan. He said everything looked good with the baby. As far as timeline goes, this happened, my anatomy scan was about almost 2 weeks ago, something like that. So he said everything looks good with the baby. The only thing is, he said I have a very low lying placenta and he really wants me to go check it out with some high-risk doctors and see if it's a placenta previa, which right there I was like, okay, I don't even know what this means. I haven't done any research on placenta previa. I don't even know what that is. And just, if you know me, I'm very like, I like to research my stuff beforehand. Like I like to research and know what's going on. Anyway, I had no idea what this was. I had no reason to research it ever before, obviously. So basically he said it's not a red flag right now, it's a yellow flag, but you might have a placenta previa. And yeah, he wants me to go get it checked out with these doctors. I was just so like, I think we waited about a week from that appointment to our more extensive ultrasound. And in that whole week, it just felt like the longest week of my life because in that week I did so much research on placenta previa and C-section and all this stuff. And basically, if you don't know what placenta previa is, it just means your placenta is laying really low and it's covering up the cervix, and obviously the baby can't come out if it's covering where it needs to come out through. So women with placenta previa, they can't deliver normally. They have to have a C-section, and it has to be usually, I think from what I understand, it has to be several weeks before your due date that they would do that, because they don't want you to go into labor when you have placenta previa, because if you do, there's, I guess, a very common symptom with placenta previa is bleeding, and if you go into labor, there's a very high risk of a lot of bleeding and hemorrhaging, and it would just be really dangerous. And my doctor told me, he's like, right now, he's like, I don't have a lot of information to tell you, but just watch for bleeding, watch for spotting, and he's like, I'm not trying to scare you, I just need to tell you what you need to do. And well, it did scare me. I know obviously he wasn't trying to scare me, and he did the right thing, but I was just like, every single day, I was just like on pins and needles. Am I gonna have bleeding or spotting today? I just don't know. I was just so concerned, because if I would have bleeding, the possible things that would happen is I would get put on bed rest for who knows how long, and I'm not even in my 3rd trimester yet. If there's a lot of bleeding, they have to get the baby out by emergency C-section, and the baby obviously would be really little right now. Don't know if it would make it, but then there's another chance it would have to be in the NICU, and all of this stuff was just going through my mind. And it was a very, very emotional week, I will say. I guess C-section was just something I never pictured for myself, just because, and I know that might sound like a stupid statement, because honestly anything can happen with birth, but I say that because of how well my last birth went. I just didn't think that I would be in any sort of high-risk pregnancy at all. And technically, I didn't know yet for sure if I had placenta previa. It might just be a low-lying placenta is what he told me, but I just need to get it checked out. And so we went up to our high-risk doctor in Canton at the hospital where I would have to have a C-section. That's the thing. If I would have placenta previa, they would have needed to transfer me to a different hospital and do a C-section there with high-risk doctors, because just in case if I need a blood transfusion or anything, they're much more equipped there, I guess. We go there, they do a very extensive ultrasound on the baby, on my placenta, and just literally very extensive. It was a long ultrasound, and but everything looked really good with the baby. She didn't have any concerns about that. And the doctor came in, he said he had looked over my results, and he said, I am not concerned. I am 95% sure that your placenta will be out of the way by the time you have to have the baby. So he's very, very hopeful that my placenta will move out of the way as my stomach grows and all of that stuff. So that's what we're praying for right now. We were so thankful. Oh my goodness, so thankful to get that news though, because I was just literally expecting the worst. I was trying to prepare myself for the worst, like, okay, he's probably going to tell me that this is placenta previa. But God, I just feel like, really intervened on our behalf, and it is a low-lying placenta. Yes, there is still a chance it won't move, I guess. We are supposed to go back to them for another appointment, for another ultrasound, and they're gonna just make sure that the placenta has moved out of the way. If it hasn't, then honestly, we're kind of right back where we started. So, but he's very hopeful, and I really trust him. He seemed really nice. He knew what he was talking about. He was a very helpful doctor. And that was one thing that I was just very concerned about, is like being in a different hospital. I love my hospital. I love my midwife and the nurses. It's as close to a birth center as you're gonna get in a hospital, and they're so super. And I was just like, a C-section, having an OB, all of this stuff, are they gonna honor my wishes? And I just was kind of scared of being pushed around, basically. But this doctor was super nice. So basically, that whole story is, I just wanted to tell you that because it is a big thing that happened in my life, in our lives recently, and I wanted to update you. That's why I didn't post last week. We had already found out that it was okay, but I just felt like I was on this emotional overload, and I just had no mental space, I guess, to create a video. And I know you guys understand that, and I appreciate that. So yeah, that's kind of the whole big long spiel. Also, the baby is breech right now, which he wasn't concerned about that, because he said at this point babies still move around a lot and there's plenty of time for the baby to flip. But also with a low-lying placenta, it's very common to have a breech baby. So I'm just really hoping that, you know, by the time the baby needs to be head down, it will be head down. The placenta will be out of the way so that it can, because I'm like, well, the placenta could move, but if the baby stays breech, I'm still gonna need a C-section. So it's just, yeah. Mateo, that I remember, at his anatomy scan, he was never in a breech position. He was always head down. I'm sure when he was really small, he moved around a lot, but like when I was farther along, he was always head down, so I just never had to worry about that. My biggest thing was worrying about, is he posterior or anterior, because I didn't want to have back labor. So I was doing everything I could to make sure he was facing the right direction, head down, so that I wouldn't have back labor. But now I just feel like my concerns are so much larger this time, and it's just crazy that all of this is even a possibility. It just feels, yeah, I'm not near as, I feel much more at peace about it now, just because of the news that we got. We're very thankful. But yeah, I will say it's been a ride. But we had a lot of people praying for us, which I think was so important. And different people told me they were just like, they thought to themselves, I just feel like it's gonna be okay. And as far as we know right now, it is going to be okay. And that's just what we're praying, that it would continue to be okay. And yeah, so if you think about it, want something to pray about, definitely pray that, you know, things are okay by the time I need to have the baby, that I can have a normal delivery, and low risk is the prayer. And yeah, but we also want to be okay with whatever God has for us. Whatever is safest, however is safest for the baby to get here, that's what we want. So if that's a C-section, then that's just what needs to happen, even though a C-section terrifies me to death. Anyway, that's kind of all I had for my pregnancy update. I had a few questions that I wanted to answer really quick. I just put a quick little question box on my Instagram this morning. So I didn't really give people a lot of time to submit any questions, but a couple people asked some questions, and I thought, you know what, I'll just answer a couple of them. I should probably always specify when I do a Q&A, it doesn't have, I mean, if your question is about pregnancy, that's fine, but it doesn't have to be about pregnancy. I should have maybe specified that, like, yeah, you can ask anything you want. It doesn't have to be pregnancy related, but it can be, because I think every question I got is about pregnancy. How are you preparing Mateo for the baby's arrival? And honestly, maybe this is bad, but I haven't really been preparing him at all. I try to tell him, like, get him interested, like, the baby's in here, and like he's very interested in babies in general, like his little baby cousins. Well, I should say he wasn't like super interested in his baby cousin, but like he always gets a kick out of babies. He loves dolls and stuffed animals, which is kind of funny, but that's just something I don't really know how to do, I guess, because he's only 1 and he's gonna be 19 months when the baby's born, so just over a year and a half. And he still feels like a baby to me. I'm just like, I feel like he's not even gonna understand no matter what we try to do to prepare him. If you guys have tips on how to prepare a 1-year-old for a new sibling, let me know, because I don't really know. Somebody else asked, do you have a name picked out? So yes, we have names. We have a girl name because it's Mateo's, the girl name that we had for Mateo. So that was super easy. We didn't even have to really talk about a girl name. But the boy name, we had a name nailed down, but I was just never 100% sold on it, and I don't know why. But anyway, just like the other night actually, I came up with another name that I have heard over the years and I really liked, but I had actually forgot about it. And I mentioned it to Chip and he actually really liked it. We'd keep the same middle name that we had picked out, but I like this other name so much better. I think Chip likes the 2 names about the same. So basically we just want to decide, kind of nail down which name. So I would say, yes, we have names. Like, we're not going to be Applecreek if the baby would come, and we still haven't decided 100% because we're between 2 boy names, have our girl name. So I feel pretty confident that we'll be able to get it nailed down. But some people are just like, they can't stand talking about names. We just argue, and I'm like, we had our baby names picked out like before we were ever pregnant with Mateo even. It really hasn't been a big struggle for us. Okay, I might answer just one more question because I don't want this video to get too long, because I said it will be short and I don't think it is. What is something you love the most and something you dislike the most while being pregnant? I would say something that I dislike the most about it, so we can end on a good note then, is I really struggle a lot with body image while I'm pregnant. I've struggled with it honestly my whole life, but it's always so much worse for me when I'm pregnant because I I feel like to me, it feels like to me that I look my absolute worst when I'm pregnant, and 9 months of just feeling like that gets kind of exhausting. And I know I need to try to, you know, deal with it, process it a little bit better, and just be okay with the way my body is gonna change. But it's just always really hard on me. So I would say that's definitely something I dislike the most. But that, and I am not sleeping good at night at all. So I have honestly slept pretty terrible this entire pregnancy. I've had a lot of lower back pain, so that's not been fun. But something I like the most about being pregnant is probably having an excuse to give myself grace to rest. Does that make sense? I don't feel like I have a hard time resting and allowing myself to relax. But also, on the other hand, it's sometimes I'm just like, if it's during the day on like a Wednesday and I'm like, I kind of finished my housework, I don't know what to do right now, I'm just gonna sit down, I feel kind of guilty. But when I'm pregnant, it just feels more justifiable, because it's like, you're pregnant, you're growing another human, you need to at least sit down a little bit, try to rest a little bit during Mateo's nap. And so I like having an excuse to give myself grace for that in that area. So anyway, I think I'm going to wrap up this video. I'm sorry if it got kind of long. I don't really know how long it's going to be, but I think I've been filming for about half an hour now. So we're going to have to cut down. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Give this video a like, because that really helps my channel out. Also, subscribe if you are not already. I've noticed that I've gotten several new subscribers recently, and my channel is pretty slow growing, but that's okay. But I have noticed there have been some new people around here. So I wanted to say hi and welcome. Thank you for being here and watching. If you made it to the end of this video, props to you. Anyway, I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye.